Why is Alex Hormozi's content so addicting and makes you want to watch and click on the next video every single time he posts? It's because his and game is crazy. You don't leave a Hormozi video confused. You leave a Hormozi video excited. I can't tell you how many people give out free game on the internet, but people only implement Hormozis. Why? Like, business has been around for a long time. Why, until Hormozi came about or Patrick Bet-David came about, did people not implement a ton of the stuff they saw online for free? Because theirs was... In this video, I'm going to break down exactly why Alex Hormozi's content is extremely addicting. And I'm going to make two guarantees. First guarantee being that it is not going to be what you think. Second guarantee is that it is going to be something you can implement to your business today for absolutely free. You don't have to pay anybody to implement this into your content as an entrepreneur. Now, let's get into it. Immediately, you're going to roll your eyes when I show you this. The reason Alex Hormozi's content is so addicting is because it is hyper valuable. Now, you may be rolling your eyes and be like, well, no shit, Sherlock. Hear me out. What you see here is that there are two words, valuable, content. So the question is, what does value mean? Which Hormozi has done a fantastic job of explaining. And then how does it apply to content? What is content? So let's break it down. I'm going to first clear the air. Valuable content is not these three things. It is not production value. It is not insane editing. And it is not crazy expensive cameras. Just because I'm recording this on a crazy expensive camera doesn't mean you need to. And I'm going to break down exactly why here in a bit. Now that we've cleared what valuable content is not, now we're going to move into what is content. And this single mind shift, this single way of thinking is going to change the way you create content forever. And this has worked for the people that I've worked with, for 7, 8, and 9-figure entrepreneurs. And it completely changes how they approach their process to creating content. And it is very simple. At the end of the day, content is service. It is serving other people. So that means when you provide someone service, it means you're providing value. Again, all this stuff is extremely obvious, but I'm going to show you why absolutely no one does it. If you can truly embrace this way of thinking when it comes to creating content, everything will flow from there and all your questions will be answered when it comes to what should I make, what should I talk about, how should I film it? Because at the end of the day, content is actually the highest leverage form of service that there is. You could go down to the soup kitchen and hand out soup to 30 different homeless people, 100 homeless people, 300 homeless people, 1,000 homeless people. Or you can make one video one time and it lives forever. You don't run out of video like you run out of soup, and it could impact billions of people. People don't really realize that. If you get a video that has 100,000 views, that is the Cowboys stadium amount of people. And when you're in front of that crowd, you would think of how can I put on a show? How can I provide the most amount of value? And it is absolutely confusing and mind-boggling to me, or it was until I was able to distill it down into words, why people make such selfish content. The reason is because they don't know what actually makes valuable content, or else they would. And what Hormozi did is he broke down the word value into something that is very easy to understand for us. And that is exactly how I'm going to be explaining how you can create valuable content and addicting content just like Alex Hormozi's. As you can see here, he did a fantastic job of explaining the value equation. I'm not going to pretend to be Hormozi here, but I'm just going to breeze through it. Essentially, everything here on the top, you want to get as high as possible, and everything here on the bottom, you want to get as low as possible. It's a division equation. Dream outcome, that is the vacation, the trip that they want to go on, the tropical island. Perceived likelihood of achievement is how likely am I to achieve what is being promised here if I'm doing business with you. Time delay is how long is it going to take for me to receive what I'm getting. Effort and sacrifice, also you put in a ton of hours in the gym versus Ozempic or surgery. A lot less effort and sacrifice needs to be made. So he lowers the bottom half and increases the top half. What is the point of this? What does this even mean? And the answer is you can use this framework to create more valuable content, just applying it to every single video that you make, from the reels that you make to your tweets to your YouTube videos. And then eventually it's going to be ingrained in you. And this is just how you're going to think. So first, dream outcome. What is the dream outcome in content? The dream outcome is what they want out of the video. Do they want a laugh? Do they want a cry? Do they want to learn something? The dream outcome of you watching this video is for you to make content as addicting as Alex Hormozi's. That is your dream outcome on this video. Now, what in the content world, specifically YouTube as well, determines whether or not the dream outcome is communicated clearly and is raised? And the answer is the titles. The title got you to click on this video. The thumbnail depicted something visually that you might want to accomplish one day. And then the understanding. The understanding being, I would love to download information the same way computers download files. I would love to learn something, immediately understand it, and then boom, I suddenly know, like the movie The Matrix, like I suddenly know like Kung Fu, like you did in that movie. I immediately understand what you're talking about and what you're teaching, and I can immediately implement it into my videos. So when it comes to the dream outcome, how can you increase the dream outcome of your content, of your videos? And the first answer is you can improve your title. Make it something enticing. Make it something people actually want to hear. A lot of people will just put like the most simple titles possible that create absolutely no curiosity, and if anything, reveals the content that you're going to be covering in the video in the title. I didn't put how to create valuable content as my title. I put why Alex Hormozi's content is so addicting. You're like, why is it so addicting? I kind of have an idea, but I really don't know. Let me go ahead and confirm. I would love to create something just like he does. Let me go ahead and confirm. The next thing is improving your thumbnail or visual hooks. There's different kinds of hooks, and I won't cover them in this video. But when it comes to hooks, not only are you grabbing people's attention by what you say, you also grab people's attention by what they see. If you're scrolling on Instagram, the first frame of the video. If you're scrolling on YouTube, the thumbnail, or in the first 30 seconds of the video that plays without sound when you're scrolling. How can you get someone's attention immediately? How can you sell the dream in those first 2 seconds immediately? In this video, I didn't start off by saying, hi, my name is Ivan Acuna. I run a business where I consult business owners and to create better content, make better videos. You don't care. That is not your dream outcome with videos, to meet me. And yet everyone starts their videos, especially their short form content, with like, what's up, guys? My name is blah, blah, blah. I do this, I do that. And in today's video, I'm going to be covering that 15 seconds. You lost the opportunity to sell them the dream on why they should watch your video. And by then, they're gone. They're swiping. You have so much competition now. It is insane. Everyone, like, you're competing as an entrepreneur against, mainly, depending on who your target audience and who you're making content for, you're competing with Alex Hormozi. You're competing with Gary Vee. You're competing with Patrick Bet-David. You're competing with what's going on in the news. You're competing with girls dancing on the timeline. You're competing with fancy cars and guns and explosions and all this other stuff. You're competing against that. Why would I click on your video when I could just get a quick dopamine hit over here? Even if I'm a high-level entrepreneur. I'm as stressed out as it is, unless you're promising something that's going to change my life and the way that I do business and make me tens of millions of dollars a year, which creating valuable content will. Why would I listen to you? Why would I click on your video? If your title doesn't intrigue me, you're not selling me the dream. I don't see an outcome in which I watch this video, I spend my valuable time watching it, and I get something out of it. It's not there. So I'm not clicking on your video. That's why your videos aren't getting views. That's why my videos aren't getting many views yet. Because people don't see me as a massive expert yet, and they're not clicking on my video because, wow, I'm going to learn from the amazing Ivan, and he's going to create my content, and it's going to be so amazing. People don't care. They don't know my name yet, so it's not adding to the dream outcome. That's why I'm not even in the thumbnail. So I'm not in the title. That's why I didn't even introduce myself in the beginning of the video, because it doesn't sell you the dream that you want out of the video. Next is my favorite. You can improve the explanations. This is extremely important. What these are also called are frameworks. You distilling and synthesizing information from extremely complex to extremely simple. Improving your explanations also sells the dream outcome, because it's like, wow, it's actually possible that I can do this, which actually goes into the next part, which is perceived likelihood of achievement. Again, according to Alex Hormozi's value equation, we want to raise the perceived likelihood of achievement. Now, how does this apply to content? In multiple different ways. First is the hook. Your hook in the beginning of the video, kind of like I explained before, increases the likelihood that they're going to get what they want out of your video. Your hook in the very beginning, again, I didn't start it by explaining who I am and what I do. I started it by explaining exactly what you want to hear. I got into the video. So now your trust is extremely high that I'm going to continue covering this, and I'm not going to bait and switch you into like buying my shoes or anything like that at the end of this video. I've increased the likelihood that you are going to achieve what you came onto this video for. Your expectations. Can you preview what you're going to explain in the video? Can you preview what you're going to talk about going forward? Can you preview and manage the expectation of, hey, this is a 25-minute video. In the first 5 minutes, I'm going to explain this in order to explain that. Can you manage the expectations of the viewer? Credibility. Your credibility, you shouting crazy accolades, is going to increase the believability and the likelihood in other people's eyes that you are someone worth listening to, and that if you apply this knowledge, you'll actually get something out of it. And I'll do it immediately. If you implement this, you are on your way to achieving the hundreds of thousands of views, the hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and the YouTube plaque, and the billions of impressions that I've generated for other clients. As soon as I say that, I'm not saying that to flex. I'm saying that so you as an entrepreneur can immediately implement this into your business because you believe me now. Before, maybe not so much. You're still kind of, but now you do. Next is a new insight. Aha moments. Aha, like if I say something to you, maybe it usually happens with like content and service that changes people's frame. And they're like, oh, I like that. That's an aha moment that makes you be like, I never thought about it that way. This guy just explains things so differently than everybody else. So what that is a framework. So how can you increase the perceived likelihood of achievement in your videos? Create frameworks. I already kind of mentioned this as well. You can deliver on title/thumbnail immediately. Mr. B says within the first 10, 15 seconds. Deliver on the title immediately. You can manage expectations by mapping out what you're covering. I did that by showing the document that I'm going to be drawing on. Before you even knew what was going on, that's what you saw. You're like, what is that? That's interesting. You can mention credibility to build it, and you can also deliver aha moments. All that will increase the perceived likelihood that they will achieve what they set out to do when they click on your video. Have you ever seen a video that you click on and all of a sudden it isn't what you thought it would be and you immediately click off? That is 99% of entrepreneurs' content because they try to bait and switch the audience. And the reason they bait and switch an audience is because they don't really believe in content as service. They believe that content is a marketing channel and your viewers are leads. The people are leads, which, they are leads, but they're also people. They're also humans that you need to build trust with. That's how you build trust, by serving them. Next, we're on the bottom half of the equation, if you remember. We were up here, now we're down here. Time. Alex Hormozi said to decrease the amount of time that it takes for your service to happen. How can you shorten the gap between what they want and what they get? How can you create value immediately? And now the question is, how do you decrease time in a video? How do you provide value faster in your video? Now, how can I serve you quickly and make you have an aha moment within the first 30 seconds? If you think about a movie, which is really just really long video content, the good movies make something happen immediately, almost immediately. They leave you on a cliffhanger. They, start at the end of the movie and they're like, you're probably wondering how I got here. They deliver on what you think you're going to get out of the movie within the first few minutes of a movie. With social media, it is seconds. How can you decrease the amount of time it takes for someone to understand what is going on in a video? Make it as short as it needs to be. I'm going to explain to you why TikTok exploded in 2020. And it's not because of, the Chinese and all this other stuff. It is very simply put, TikTok is inherently more valuable than YouTube at the time. People are used to watching 5-minute, 10-minute videos in order to get a laugh. But you're telling me I can get that laugh in 30 seconds and then move on and automatically be fed another one immediately? That's insane. Before, it's kind of like you surf Netflix to watch what you want to watch. And you have to make a massive commitment for 2 hours in order to get the value and get the dopamine hit that you're looking for. Meanwhile, on TikTok, you're saying that I can learn something in 30 seconds and immediately after learn something again and again and again, and I can scroll forever. It's infinite. I can learn 50 new things in 50 minutes. That's insane. And that is why TikTok blew up. Because you're getting the dopamine hit that you usually got in 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 minutes. In 30 seconds, in 15 seconds. That's why Vine, 7 seconds. It delivers on it immediately. So you can make the videos as short as it needs to be. Does this mean that you only need to make 30-second videos? No. This entire concept, me breaking this down, I could never do in 30 seconds. I could try, but it wouldn't be as in-depth and you wouldn't gain as much understanding as possible. That is why instead of making a 30-minute video with all this crazy stuff and it taking a really long time for me to make the video, I'm condensing it. I'm just screen recording my stuff and I'm just looking to a camera and speaking. And you will understand this within however long this video is going to be. And I'm going to edit it down and cut out all the fluff and all my corny jokes. That way you understand the information in as short amount of time as possible. It is cutting out the fluff, making the video as short as it needs to be, which in other words is really editing. What isn't necessary? What needs to be left in? Editing isn't adding a bunch of animations. It is just compiling a story. And if you can compile the story in a very short amount of time, your videos are inherently more valuable. Next, time. How can you decrease time to value? How can you decrease the amount of time it takes for someone to believe that you're going to deliver to get a dopamine hit immediately? And the answer is previewing your content. In this video, I told you exactly what we were going to cover. I told you, I'm going to cover that in a second. Give me a moment. I'm delivering on, hey, here's something I'm going to give you. Just give me a second. Just give me like 20 minutes to explain this entire thing because you need context behind what's going on. Very simply put, you can cut down the amount of time it takes to deliver on the expectation in the video. I'm not going to go ahead and repeat myself for the millionth time, but by previewing content, I can't tell you how much time. You could take the best moments of a 3-hour podcast, put it into the beginning. You're going to shoot the retention and the average viewership up by, it's not even 100%. It's not even double. It's triple, 100 times, 10 times more than someone will just click on the video. They click on the video. Imagine you open a door and you just see two people that you've never met before talking. You're going to be like, wrong door. I came in for a life-changing experience and a deep conversation. I've never met these two people. Versus you walk in the door and you see them talking and it's about stuff you immediately care about. And they turn to you and they're like, hey, we're actually having a conversation about this, and this, and this. And we've already hit on these points and we're going to hit on these points next. You want to stay? Some of you may be like, still no, you guys are strangers. But some of you may be like, yeah, I'm down. I'm down. And then you add in credibility, like I said earlier. Hey, we're actually, you don't remember us, but we worked together back in 99 and, we're boys. You remember me? You may be like, no, but shoot, if I knew you and we got along before, we might as well get along again. So that's introducing credibility, increases the perceived likelihood, and then previewing the content decreases the amount of time it takes for you to get the dopamine hit that you clicked on the video for. Next, and again, repeating myself, create frameworks, aha moments. Now you're probably seeing some sort of pattern here and something that continues to pop up in every single one. So I'm going to explain it in a second. But first, how do frameworks, how do mental models, how do ways of explaining things decrease the amount of time that it takes to deliver on the service, deliver on the value of the content? The answer is it condenses the time that it takes for them to understand it and implement it. I'm breaking this down in a way that you can implement this and a way of thinking today, not in 2 weeks, by telling you that Alex Hormozi's content is so addicting because he has a whole movie studio with all the most expensive cameras with the best creative directors in the world. And I use a bunch of technical lingo to explain it. You're not going to get it. You're going to be confused. And you're not going to be encouraged because it's not something you can implement immediately. You're not going to understand it. Therefore, the video is less valuable. Therefore, you get bored and you click off or you fall asleep. If you've ever seen, this is the difference between a college level professor and Andrew Huberman's podcast, is that he breaks things down into easy to understand things and you can sense how his emotion is behind it. So it's more entertaining. So I'm more likely to be excited and I'm more likely to implement on the video, take action on the video. Because again, if I'm just explaining the video that I'm making now, how to make addicting content, you want to make addicting content because you're an entrepreneur and you want your business to grow. And by creating addicting content, you build a brand and you bring in leads and you bring in sales. If I were to have opened this with a bunch of technical lingo about cameras and microphones, you would have clicked off immediately. But by promising you that it is free, something you can implement today and you don't have to pay anybody for, you are willing to stay. And because I'm explaining it through the framework of a value by a division signal that you already know and love, you are more likely to implement it because you understand it better. So very simply put, you increase or you decrease the time to understanding and implementation. So again, you are bringing them to their desired destination, the dream outcome, and you are increasing the perceived likelihood of achievement. Next is effort and sacrifice. How can I decrease effort and sacrifice in video content? What does that even mean? It's very simple. How hard do they have to work to understand what you're saying? That is basically what it boils down to. Is your microphone buzzy? Is your camera clear? Is the lighting good? Is the editing distracting? Or does it help? Are visuals presented? Are animations with corny sound effects happening? How much effort and sacrifice do I have to put in to actually being interested and entertained by what you're saying? Now, how do you decrease effort and sacrifice in a video? Very simply put, you can tell stories rather than explaining information. I could explain to you how creating valuable content completely changed my life. And I could take you how I got to meet insanely cool people through doing podcast interviews, which is actually true. Got to meet Les Brown, got to meet Dr. Eric Thomas, got to meet Patrick Bet-David, got to meet his Valuetainment crew. I could break it down through those lenses, which would therefore you would follow along more because stories are inherently more interesting than just facts. I could just spit, hey, the average view time of a YouTube video is 0.23 seconds. 0.00001% of YouTube channels have over 100,000 subscribers. You don't care. Those are facts. Those are meaningless facts to you because there's no context and there's no storytelling inside of it. So very simply put, tell stories rather than just feeding information. Take your life stories and put them all into a Google Doc that you can refer to at any moment, and boom, immediately plug into a video. Boom. I just made this video go from a 2 to a 4, from a 4 to a 6. Yeah, maybe it increases the video length by 2 minutes. Maybe I can tell the story in 30 seconds. So I made it as short as possible, but I also told a story which increased retention of the information because people actually were interested. So now, all of a sudden, I'm making, yes, a longer video, but I'm telling the story in as short amount of time as possible. And the story is also going to help them decrease the amount of effort and sacrifice it takes for them to understand it and be interested in it, which the best type of medicine is the one you take. So you're not going to listen to me give you a college level lecture here about content. You're not going to be interested. But if I explain it through the lens of someone that you care about, Hormozi, which most people care about, if you're in the entrepreneurship space, marketing space, whatever, you're going to listen, which is exactly what's happening right now. So you can tell stories rather than give information. Next is the biggest one here. Does the editing help? And here's the difference between good editing and bad editing. Does your editing, all your editor is you're here, your audience is here, this is your editor. It takes your message, your editor, him, her, takes your message and amplifies it to the people that you're explaining it to. My editor will put the visual screen recording of this document for your visual understanding. But my editor will not include a bunch of corny sound effects, a bunch of crazy animations, because you're here to learn something and you're here to retain information. You're not here to be distracted by bells and whistles and all this kind of stuff, which is why Alex Hormozi actually moved away from the crazy editing styles that he did move towards when he was trying to scale the YouTube channel, because he wasn't liking the audience that is attracted to that kind of stuff. Because the audience that is the high-level audience that he was trying to attract are people that want to learn. They love education. They love growing. They don't love just bells and whistles all the time. They can read through a Google Doc. They can read a book. You know what I mean? They don't need it to be a TikTok. My videos don't have any insane editing, and the reason is because I don't want them to. Because the audience that I'm making this for, the person that I'm making this for, the most valuable content to them is a simple visual, simple, very powerful words, and easy to understand. That way they can implement it. That is at the base of what you watch content on YouTube for if you're an entrepreneur. You're looking to solve problems. You're looking to learn something. That is why you're watching this video. So does the editing help? And if it doesn't help, then it hurts. If the intro song takes away from you actually wanting to watch the video, then it is hurting. If the bells and whistles don't add a layer of understanding, then it is inherently hurting. If the story doesn't help you explain your point better, it is a pointless story and you need to cut it out. If me explaining my name and what I do to you doesn't help you gain credibility or doesn't help you understand what I'm saying better, I'm not going to do it in the first 30 seconds. I'm going to deliver on value in the first 30 seconds. Next, do they have to deal with low quality? Have you ever tried to listen to a song or watch a movie or watch a video where the audio is horrible? It's impossible. I've never made it through a video which has horrible audio, unless the information is hyper valuable. But what would have made the information even more valuable is if it was crystal clear and easy to understand. This microphone inherently increases the value by 10x versus me using my iPhone and using this camera mic. This camera mic is awful. Would you really power through a video in which I'm using the camera mic, or would you rather have a podcast mic so it's more soothing to your ears and it sounds better? The answer is obviously the microphone. You have to suffer through low quality on the camera to where you can't even decipher between the wall and me. And when it comes to production value, it is a tool. It is not a necessity. If you can get in a quiet room and you can record everything on your phone, do it. But what makes your videos less valuable is actually adding on the time it takes for you to create content and deliver your expertise to the world and share it with the world by needing to worry about production value. I have just this very simple $60 tripod on my desk now and a $100 microphone. Granted, the camera is like insane, but I could also film this video on my iPhone because all I'm doing is screen sharing. Not only do you want to decrease the amount of time it takes for someone to understand what's going on in the video, you want to decrease the amount of time that it takes to make the video. Because if you can put really good content every single day, that is more valuable than creating content once a month. So that is how you can decrease the effort and sacrifice? Do they have to deal with the low quality? And then finally, I'll add one thing here is, do they understand? Did you distill the information down to a way that they can simply understand it, which at the end of the day is a framework. It is a mental model. It is a way of explaining something extremely complex and turning it down into something very simple. Processed food, basically, but processed in a good way, in a natural way. So we don't like preservatives. Screw Big Pharma. Next, big slop. What do you see in all four categories to create more valuable content? Between this slide, dream outcome, the perceived likelihood of achievement, the time and the effort and sacrifice. What do you see in all four categories? I'll give you a hint. You probably already know what it is because you're like, okay, I get it. Frameworks. At the end of the day, your frameworks are the single biggest lever, the way you explain something, the single biggest lever you can pull in making better content today. By taking the time to, instead of just putting on a camera and recording something, by you taking the time to break it down into a diagram, by telling a story, it is the single highest leverage thing you could potentially do ever in anything. Again, you make you have a cool shot in one video. Awesome. But you explain something and now that person's able to implement it and it changes the whole trajectory of their life because now they can do sales. That is extremely powerful. So what do you see in all four categories to creating more valuable content? Why is Alex Hormozi's content so addicting and makes you want to watch and click on the next video every single time he posts? Is because his framework and mental model game is crazy. This guy distills the most complex information, such as value, down into the most simple to understand things ever. You don't leave a Hormozi video confused. You leave a Hormozi video excited because now you can implement what he has going on. Now you're excited about the video. You're excited about what's coming next. That is why frameworks hit so hard. Now the question is, what is a framework? What does that even mean? Cool for Hormozi, but how do I do this? What is this extremely intangible skill that he has at distilling information down? And it is very simply put. I can explain it in a quick drawing. These could be like a table of context of your expertise. What this looks like to you is an extremely random assortment of dots. Imagine if every single one of these dots was just information, facts. And imagine I'm like, hey, here's all this information. Enjoy, implement it. You'd be like, I don't even know where to start. That's a lot of different things. You just threw a lot at me. What Hormozi does, what Patrick Bet-David does, why they're so good, is this. They connect the dots for you. What they do is they're like, no worries, young Padawan. This is what you should focus on. This star. You know what a star is. You understand what a star is? I say the word star. You immediately picture certain things, whether it's the actual star shape that I did there or a ball of gas. I've reduced the amount of possibilities that this could be to two. A ball of gas or this individual star shape. Because what could have happened is I could have been like, oh, this is the most important stuff. Or, this is the most important stuff. And I could have connected the dots and now it's a puppy, right? Or a dog or whatever the heck that is. You had 1,000,001 options as to how you could have connected those dots and actually implemented them into your business. But now, what I've done by going over the value equation is reduced it down to 4 things and very simple levers and actionable steps that you can take. So now it takes the guesswork out. You know that's a star there by connecting the dots. It is I can't tell you how invaluable that is. It excites me because it's genius is what it really is. Like these physicists, Albert Einstein, these people reduce the mysteries of the universe, gravity, space, time, all this other stuff, into simple equations. E equals mc squared. We all remember that. A secret of the universe into something as simple as 4 little symbol marks that you and I can agree on. Years of study, years of understanding and mistakes and effort and sweat and blood and tears distilled into 4 little words and 5, 6, 7 different little lines to create a star for your understanding. 5+ years of content creation experience. Meeting Les Brown, meeting Deion Sanders, these amazing speakers, and me taking the experience that I learned from them behind the camera, behind the scenes, and giving it to you in a division equation. You are now like, wow, I can implement this today. Like, I learned something in this video. I'm excited. The dream outcome of creating addicting content is now possible. I have a higher likelihood of achieving that end result. And not only that, but I can do it in less time because I don't have a ton of guessing to do. I know the single highest lever that I can pull is creating frameworks. That is something that I can start working on immediately today. And I'm going to explain the different types of frameworks here in a bit. I'll skip the pool shot. I'll save you that. But examples of frameworks that hit hard. I can now implement this in my business today. The effort and sacrifice that it'll take is I don't have to go buy a ton of money, a ton of cameras and hire a bunch of editors and manage a whole team. All I need to do is throw on a Loom camera and provide as many frameworks and value as possible and educate as many people as possible. What are examples of frameworks that hit hard? They may be like, you may be asking, cool, I know I need to do it, but I don't even know what that looks like. Very simple. Hormozi did a division equation. What that is an example of is a diagram. A visual representation. Venn diagrams are great. Graphs. You see in Hormozi's Valley of Despair. That's a graph. Equations. E equals MC squared, the value equation. Next. Stories. Your experience. Your friends or your peers' stories. And tales, meaning like fiction stories. Parables. That's what they're called. If I tell you the story of Finding Nemo, you immediately know what lessons to extract from that movie because you've seen it before. Very much, a lot easier to understand. Next is analogies, which places you can pull analogies. Nature, because everyone knows what nature is. Psychology, I'm just put psych. And then history. There's a Twitter thing that always happens when something, breaking news happens in the NBA or in soccer. When breaking news happens in soccer, Americans are like, what does this mean in basketball terms? What does this mean in NBA terms? If a really famous soccer player, Messi, moves to Inter Miami, people that have never watched Messi, Barcelona, have no idea like who they are. He's been playing for 20 years. You have no idea who he is. You have no idea why he's such a big deal. But if I were to be like, hey, it's because he's the LeBron, not Michael Jordan. LeBron's better than Michael Jordan, I'm sorry. He's the LeBron of soccer. Now it's all of a sudden a big deal. Now you're paying money to go see him because you can equate his skill level and his talent and the fact that he's the greatest soccer player of all time to the greatest basketball player of all time, LeBron James. You immediately have a sold out arena, even if I've never heard of him before. Like, you know how Kanye is like, what does Lady Gaga know about cameras? It's like, what does Kim Kardashian know about Lionel Messi? Nothing. I doubt it. She still went to his games in Miami. Like, she was still there, front row seat, paying thousands of dollars to be there. No idea who he is. It's hilarious. An analogy is something like, I'll give you a different one. Growing foundation, like having good finances and a good savings account is like the roots of a tree. It keeps you from hard times, but swaying in the wind. It stops you from falling over. A good savings account and a good emergency fund will keep you from, it'll be the roots. It'll be what's holding you down. I could do like your beliefs are your roots. It prevents you from being swayed in hard times and devolving and doing a bunch of degenerate stuff whenever, life gets difficult. These analogies are actually very, very fun to come up with because you're just looking at things, you're looking at history. All of a sudden, you immediately understand the references I'm making, and that reduces down, like, who could Lionel Messi be? He could be a million things. Versus if I'm like, he's LeBron James of soccer, he's that one thing. I understand. And what that understanding does with such short time windows is it creates confidence. And if you're teaching someone something, the increased confidence through the learning of something really quickly, they're that much more likely to implement. I can't tell you how many people give out free game on the internet, but people only implement Hormozis. Why? Like, business has been around for a long time. Why, until Hormozi came about or Patrick Bet-David came about, did people not implement a ton of the stuff they saw online for free? Because theirs was easier to understand. Patrick Bet-David has lists. Boom, 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 boom. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. That is another version of a framework, which is lists. And the biggest framework that will make your videos actually go more viral is pop culture. And you may be like, ew, pop culture, gross. Pop culture within your industry. The reason I picked Hormozi is because he's the biggest influencer in the entrepreneurship space. So it made you stop your scroll. There's a reason I picked him is because he's the biggest influencer in the business space. You're going to click on the video and you're going to be more interested in listening to what I have to say, even though you've never heard me speak before, because of the pop culture. Where you're going to get really good is taking the dots between this culture here and this culture here and connecting them in ways that people have never seen before. I saw one video where this guy was explaining a video. He was explaining fitness through Rocky Balboa training montages. I love the Rocky movies. They're my favorite movies. I also used to play basketball and used to be an athlete, but I don't work out as frequently anymore. So I'm looking to get back in the gym. What made me interested in watching a workout plan video is him breaking down Rocky Balboa's training montages and be like, hey, here's the exercises that he's doing in order to look the way he does. Made me click on the video. Man has hundreds of thousands of views, 500, 400, millions of views just because he breaks down fitness through the lens of pop culture and famous movies and actors. So what you or may not have noticed by this point, because even though you probably have, because I've said it a million times, is that the value equation is a framework. And the reason that Alex Hormozi's content is so addicting because he distills all his information down into frameworks, mental models, analogies, stories. And if you get good at that, your content will go like this. Good luck.